authorship of a creative rational expression characteristic to Homo sapiens, distinguishing man as a rational human being from other living creatures. In a life of a democratic society, this includes the ability to make critical, innovative decisions, to achieve political goals through a direct participation, that is activism and leadership in a democratic processes. Politics in itself is an innovative, creative subject. It's exclusively human, rational activity, as they say, the art of possible. It's based on dialogue and compromise among different political goals and vision of members of a society. This tension of different goals, interests, and the appreciation, either as a conservative or a liberal, how an individual ought to protect life, liberty, and the, as we say, pursuit of happiness, can be viewed through two different mirrors. Could be one mirror of reality, based on the circumstances and true assessment of facts. So yes, that is political reality. And the second mirror of political expediency of the so-called spinners to achieve political goals at the expense of truth, justice, and human dignity. That is the innovative creation of virtual reality. The most extreme and glaring example of such virtual reality can be found in the creation of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. Its major fault line is the equating the victim and the aggressor. My bilingual book, as I said, reflects on the Hague tribunals in general, and specifically on the Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, and the general issue of the so-called judicialization of international conflicts. Basically, my rather provocative position is that the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia is illegal in concept, in structure, and practice. As for concept, the tribunal is the creation of the Security Council, a political body, which has no authority to create a judicial organ, thus belongs to the General Assembly. Here I am arguing in the book that the Security Council, in seeking a speedy end to the conflict, abrogated its responsibility under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter to meet illegal force aggression with legitimate force to stop aggression and secure international peace and security. Members of the Security Council failed to make the essential distinction between the aggressor, a war criminal, committing a jus cogens crime, and the victim defendant of a crime lawfully engaged in a self-defense. The result is the peace without justice and uncertain political future for the region. As for the structure of the statute, the tribunal was drafted in secret by a bunch of international technocrats and international lawyers from the US State Department and the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations. The statute lacks the traditionally accepted structure and definition of specific crimes. The conceptual structure of the tribunal is diametrically opposed to the Nuremberg principles and precedents. My position is simply that war crimes committed in the international conflict on the territory of the former Yugoslavia from the joint criminal enterprise conceived and planned by the Serbian Academy of Science and Arts, SANU, through the politics of Milosevic government and the military force of the Yugoslav People's Army, constitutes acts of aggression, calculated, deliberately executed without remorse as an instrument of war. Such major jus cogent international crimes cannot with clear conscience and intellectual honesty be put in the same category with the alleged violations of the law of war committed by the Croatian soldiers in the course of self-defense. A legitimate use of force which cannot be construed as participation in a joint criminal enterprise. The legal theory of so-called joint criminal enterprise without the crime of aggression is misplaced, since joint criminal enterprise is the animus of the crime of aggression, providing the so-called mens rea or criminal intent for the supreme international crime of aggression. And finally, as for practice of judges of the tribunal have broad, expensive discretion in interpretation of the statute to mold the law according to individual preferences of judges. That is, politically motivated selective jurisprudence. Finally, the question of the role of the International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia to provide, quote, an accurate and nuanced historical record from the evidence provided and submitted by the innovative, politically motivated prosecutors a la Carla Del Ponte raises the fundamental question of justice, fairness, and the historiography. A book is a limited edition, the result of a series of scholarly fora sponsored by the Croatian Cultural Council Hrvatskog kulturnog vijeća. Coming from Washington at my own expense, I participated in 5 out of total 8 colloquia. I must say special acknowledgement is due to Hrvoje Hitres, president of the Croatian Cultural Council, and Dr. Milan Vuković, former president of the Constitutional Court of the Republic of Croatia. He summed up eloquently the importance of participation in the colloquia. Dr. Vuković reminded us, he says, let us not forget, by our participation in these scholarly fora, defending the honor, our liberties, we are contributing to a better, fuller, and happier life of all those who dreamed and hoped for an independent, free Croatia. Thanks to the organization of the seminar, I brought several copies of my book with the idea that perhaps some of you might be interested. And I understand most of you are students, so I would sort of most likely really just to grant the books, sort of donate to you. But on the other hand, those of you who could actually purchase at a very, very low price, it was suggested to me to charge for a hard copy 200 kunas, soft copy 100 kunas, or in euros 40, that is 20 kunas. But as I said, this is not really that essential. The essential is that the book actually is very timely and played a very important role in convincing the current judges at The Hague that this theory of joint criminal enterprise to apply people who are actually in a legitimate self-defense actually does not make sense. That's why the current appeals chamber or žalbeno vijeće is actually almost hinting prosecutors or tužiteljstvo, that this legal theory is not going to work. And Asko is suggesting whether they have some other ideas like command responsibility or zapovjedna odgovornost to actually come up with that charge, which clearly would be much less serious than joint criminal enterprise. And what is most important, would remove the blemish, the unfair, the unjust, gross blemish that the Domovinski rat was in essence some sort of a joint criminal enterprise. So that's why I am very happy that I tackled this issue. Thanks to my background as an international lawyer, I was able to get involved in this, even though international criminal law was not my own specialty. I am pretty much trained as an international lawyer in a public international law, which of course includes international criminal law. So that's actually basically shortly that's I wanted to present to you. As I said, the book is in Croatian and in English language, and well researched, a lot of research, footnotes, and it's not an easy subject. It's a more or less post-diplomatic studies, so that might be a challenging, depending how much education you may have in legal fields. But it clearly is something that certainly I think Croatian intellectuals should be a little more interested in taking advantage of the book. For example, I understand the Croatian government presumably enlisted some lobbying firm in Washington to lobby presumably for us, for Croatia, The Hague, which is really kind of hard to even envision how you can lobby before a judicial body, but anyway, perhaps they can have some influence. And they have already spent apparently $720,000 for those services, and instead of perhaps maybe buying 100-200 copies of my book, which would be much cheaper for them, and most likely would have a greater effect. But anyway, that's as it is.
Čuj, evo Mirko ti
Anyway,
treba uključiti laptop.
so basically that's, I have about 10 copies of the book, five copies hard
Čak i prvu
copies,
Mirko malo, evo.
5 soft copies, and there are some of
Ili ide razmak
my
između Mirka i
friends
Grigorija?
here, as I said, my
Okay.
greatest wish would be
Okay.
if I just would distribute all those books to you gratis. But this is not that many, so even if they go gratis, it's not really such a great deal. And perhaps some of the people who are not Croatians, I thought they might be more inclined to get a copy and perhaps take it to their own country. So thank you very much. If you have some question, as I said, the thing is you would have to really read the book carefully. But I think the essential elements of my position, that the concept, structure, and practice of the court is illegal. And actually I've been advancing in my book why this is so.
So Ed,
Yes.
why are our generals in The Hague? What's the real reason?
Real reason is probably a political compromise, trying to this very virtual reality, trying to make something that is not there. In other words, you cannot equate aggressor and a defender and put them on the same level. And that's exactly what happened by sending those people to The Hague. They tried to resolve. They stopped the slaughter. Clearly, this was their primary goal, to stop fighting, which they achieved. But they achieved the peace, and they achieved the Dayton Accords. That's why I use this title, peace, actually referring to Dayton Accords peace. But this peace, as is showing every day, was a peace at the price of justice and human dignity. The human dignity of our generals is actually violated because they are treated as a bunch of war criminals sitting in the same prison and as facing the same court. So this is unprecedented in the history of mankind.
Can I ask a question, please? Considering the U.S. government obviously has a different governing system and the constitution, why don't Western countries don't accept Den Haag as international court of law? Why are we accepting it? And what is the difference in the U.S. constitution and the British constitution? There must be something. There must be a trick.
See, that's the whole thing, that this is the whole this political experience. The American generals would never go before any kind of although there are some suggestions that Bush and Clinton perhaps should have been sent to Hague for a violation of international criminal law, but clearly it never occurred to anybody to proceed on that. That was, I'm saying in my book, this kind of jurisprudence that is developed at The Hague by the international tribunals of former Yugoslavia and some other countries is really only applicable to weak countries who actually don't have enough even in the case of Croatia, I don't think they had enough of the professional know-how to stand up and face this other opposition because, let's face it, they just didn't have enough experience. I never forget when I was at The Hague studying and there was international students coming from different countries, and of course Yugoslavia was there at that time, and I was curious who is coming to Hague. And out of 10 students from Yugoslavia, 8 went from Belgrade and only 2 from Croatia. And those 2, one I think may have been a spy, and the other was really running away from me when he heard that I actually more or less consider myself Croatian American.
But what happened to Croatia if they didn't extradite the generals in this case?
Well, probably there may have been some pressure. On the other hand, it's hard to say what would have, probably maybe nothing.
They wouldn't have let us into the EU.
That means
Yes, great deal, okay.
Constitution.
I agree with this.
Yeah. I was actually in some of my documentation that also has a book. I think the first governments up to 2002 actually had a little bit of a stronger position, and they were actually arguing legally the Croatian constitution and the Croatian Sabor and the parliament, and actually rather effectively that they cannot really cooperate under all means to The Hague. But however, when the Russian government came, they signed everything, and actually Croatia became now legally obligated to participate with the court. We have a international legal obligation, which actually we were persuaded to do so because, as Željko mentioned, maybe because of the pressure from the European Union and the general idea trying to sort of make the whole southeastern region somehow reconciliation and let's forget certain things, and that's where Croatia got the short end of it. Let's face it, in some situations, Serbia, which is really in a very negative position, because even their friends in the West were very embarrassed actually when they realized what was happening during the war. But still, for example, they managed to get in the General Assembly to have a Serbian foreign minister being elected in the UN General Assembly as the president of the UN General Assembly, apparently getting over 60 countries which were actually voting for a country which was maybe a year or so considered a pariah state. So maybe the position of strength, maybe actually in the final analysis phase, it's good to try to. I could see during the war when the country was being created that Tudjman had to probably do a lot of things which he probably would not otherwise do, but his main goal was creation of the country. But later, I think we could have had a much stronger position.
I'm not really good in a Croatian political system or any kind of it. But does in our constitution, our law says that we are allowed to, for example, to even not permit ourselves to do something like that, to execute
Well,
our citizens.
See, one main position should have been the Croatian government, because one of the main duties of the government is to protect its citizens. Now, if you are putting your own citizens in a position where you have no control and the outside power is actually controlling, you are losing your sovereignty as a country. So that's what I'm saying. This jurisprudence that is very much accepted by the international lawyers all over the world, especially the United States and so on. It's many books on the shelf, volumes and volumes of decision precedents, but when you really look at it, they are only applicable to the weak.
Another question, sorry, I have to ask. I'm curious. In your opinion, as a lawyer, international lawyer, during the war, Serbia had done about $13 billion damage to this country. In your opinion, should we go to the international court for that as well, or it depends on our politicians? How does it work?
Well, we certainly have a right to ask for reparations. And actually, I would assume the position that the genocide is only mentioned in Bosnia and so on, but I think the level of genocidal attacks on Croatia from the people up to the cultural destruction also could be argued that. And apparently there is an action at The Hague where Croatia filed a case for genocide against Serbia, but now the current government is very much apparently inclined to just to forget about it. So it's all really, they are certainly, I'm not sure who is advising them, but a lot of people have questions about their decision making. If somebody else, they could.
Yes, I would like to ask some questions. Okay, I understand that you are an American lawyer, but I would like to ask you something about your lections. Every time you use the words war. Can you explain me why in the European law, even in our law, we are talking about the conflict, Distinction between the war and conflict are
that's a
major things which determine a lot of things in our war, because we have the war here.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, because the whole structure of the Hague jurisprudence is not to, actually they do not have jurisdiction or knowledgeness on the crime of aggression. In other words, if somebody would bring a charge of aggression to the court, they said, well, we cannot deal with it, because they leveled this whole conflict to so-called armed conflict,
Yes.
and actually even tried to equate international and domestic conflict, that this is pretty much the same thing. And that's why this is an anomaly in the jurisprudence of the court. And that's what I'm saying, that this jurisprudence gradually now with this new attempts of the so-called legitimate international criminal court, which is a new body, which will have actually only people who will sign the treaty to that court, and that court already has shown some improvements in looking at the whole issue of international criminal law, pretty much back to the precedent on Nuremberg, when actually we were trying real Nazi war criminals, and that's how that whole jurisprudence began. But now they actually were innovating in a way, as you said, manipulating and turning it around so that creating confusion that the aggressor and defender, they're all the same thing.
Things, yes.
Yeah.
What now? What now? What should Croatian government do?
Well, Croatian government, I think more debate, more writings of the kind that I have in my book should have been probably more visible in Croatia, in Zagreb, and in different dialogue and seminars and explanations. But I think quite a bit has been already done, and as I said, there is looks to me, my assessment is that the current judges of the Žalbeno Vijeće, I think we were able sort of to appeal to their conscience and judicial integrity, and to say, listen, gentlemen, you have to take a good look at this. You cannot say that General Gotovina and Mlatko Mladić are on the same level. So they are beginning. My feeling is that clearly, I think this, which is most essential and most important, that this theory of the joint criminal enterprise to apply to Croatian Domovinski Rat, this will be scratched and eliminated, which is a big plus, because the Serbian side was always pointing and poking at that, oh yeah, vi ste stvorili državu na kriminalu, na genocidu i tako dalje, i tako dalje. Znači, to je vrlo važno da ta teorija, this theory of joint criminal enterprise is not applicable to a country that was actually in a self-defense. Now, this command responsibility, there could be some level of some examination how much General Gotovina knew or had reason to know about certain things. Obviously, there were some violations on the Croatian side, no question about it. Now, the question is whether you can actually blame for this General Gotovina as the commander. Now, there is also argument that once you come to appeal or Žalbeno Vijeće, you have to only deal with the issue that were discussed in the lower court. These pundits, these international technocrats at The Hague, who were actually prosecutors, they were so self-assured that they're going to prevail, and so they were just bringing up one legal theory, main joint criminal enterprise, which now, if this falls, in some way, if the Croatian lawyers are clever enough or sufficiently armed with their knowledge, one solution could be that these people could be completely freed. That's one. Political situation, compromise because of political reasons, could be that, okay, they might be responsible under the command responsibility, but this is a much slower charge. They were already sitting 7, 8 years. All right, so let them go home, or maybe give them another year. That's as I said, you have two mirrors. You have a political reality, and you have all these other political expediency. And this political experience, this innovation of this international politics, is really essential element that is going on every day in the world. And we have to be aware of it and accept it that, and then position ourselves in the best life that the country has, as this gentleman today, Gospodin Marino, really, said, we have to protect our national interest. And what is most important for protecting national interest is your sovereignty and your duty to protect your own people. In some fashion, you as a Croatian citizens are insecure. You cross the border, you could be arrested. That's a very serious, that means that the government essential responsibility is not being taken care of. And that's why weak countries have problems. Some are more successful. Let's hope that Croatia, well, maybe in the next election you will again come up with the people who will be more concerned with issues like that. I think the current government is more concerned with this practical reconciliation of the region. You see what's happening about the Bosnian border now. Some people say this is prevara ili zabluda. Mimica last night said, no, see, that's a very good point about what Mimica, is it Mimica, I believe?
Yes.
What he said last night, that because they had an international agreement that they have to pursue this, that's a policy. If this agreement had been ratified, then it would have been a law and would have been obligated international law. Since it hadn't been ratified, we can actually look at it. And if Tudjman was not aware of certain things and now we know that this is wrong, clearly we don't have to pursue it.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
All
That was
right,
very
thank you.
interesting.
As I said, you can take